Hi, Ty Ratcliffe here from VMware Professional Services Engineering. I'm going to demonstrate an automated secure desktop solution that isolates a desktop based on a security breach that is identified in the Windows event logs. The security breach that I'm going to demonstrate is when an unauthorized user is added to the local admin security group. Our goal is to detect the event and then automatically remediate the issue. The solution works by integrating Horizon Virtual Desktops with Log Insight, vRealize Orchestrator, and NSX to provide a solution that not only detects the breach has occurred, it sends an email to IT security. It will also remediate the issue by isolating the desktop from the network. Let's add an unauthorized user to the local group and see what happens. First, I'll open a couple command prompts here. I'll continually ping Google and show that I've got external internet connectivity. I'm also going to ping the gateway of the network that this desktop is on to show that I've got local network connectivity. I'll open up the computer management and my local administrator group. I'm going to add a user called user1. That's just a standard user that I've created with no special permissions. You'll see very quickly a message pops up on the screen that alerts me to the fact that a security breach has been detected on my desktop, and it's now going to be isolated from the network. The ping requests are now not responding because my desktop doesn't have internet access, nor does it have local network access. But you'll notice that my remote desktop session is still live. It's because I've used NSX microsegmentation to selectively isolate the desktop from the network, but not drop the remote login session. Let's have a closer look at how that's worked. I've got a Log Insight agent that's installed on the desktop, and it's forwarding all of the event logs to my Log Insight server. Here's my Log Insight server, and I've got a user alert configured. And within that user alert, it's looking for the events that the Windows logs are being sent through. And rather than sending an email out as a notification that this has been triggered, it's sending a webhook. The webhook is a URL where API requests can be sent. In this case, the URL is constructed with the DNS name and the port, the VRO endpoint that I'm focused on, and at the end here is the unique ID of the orchestrator workflow that I'd like to execute. The API webhook that Log Insight sends isn't natively compatible with the VRO API. So my target is a webhook shim. The shim accepts the API call from Log Insight. It then translates that into a format that VRO can accept and relays the API call to VRO, including the alert and all of the content. What this means is that we have the ability to execute VRO workflows based on a trigger from Log Insight. For more information on the Log Insight webhook, you can see a blog here by John Diaz, explains a bit of information about it there. There's also a VMware blog article that Steve Flanders wrote that goes over some additional information on the webhook shim. Between those two, you'll be able to get all the information you need to install, configure, and use that webhook shim. I'll open up Orchestrator. I'm in the workflow here, and on my general tab you'll see the ID. That's the unique ID of this workflow that matches the unique ID that was in the webhook API from Log Insight. In my schema tab, these are all of the steps that are in my workflow. The first one here is base 64 decode. The webhook shim encodes the content of the alert using the base 64 encode function. So the first thing we actually need to do is decode the contents and make it readable by VRO. Once VRO can read the contents of the text alert, we need to analyze that alert and gather some information from it. The machine name, username, timestamps, these kinds of details are then assigned to attributes that we use later on in the workflow. We will then get some more information about the user from Active Directory. So we'll send a query to Active Directory and bring back the user object. From this user object, we'll be able to get all of the user attributes from that user in Active Directory. Before we isolate the desktop, we want to send a message to the user, which is the message you saw pop up on the desktop screen. We then want to send an email to IT security or administrators. Maybe we also want to send an email to the user just in case they missed the pop-up on the desktop. The last step we want to do is isolate the desktop. To do this, I'm using VRO to apply a security tag to the desktop in NSX. I've configured NSX to isolate any computer with this tag, so as soon as a VRO workflow makes the change, NSX takes care of the isolation. I'll open up the NSX details here. I've got a security tag called local admin breached. If I refresh the screen, the VM count will be 1, and my Windows 10 desktop is in there. That takes you through the whole process from the time an event is raised in Windows all the way through to the automated remediation, and it shows how flexible the solution can be. This demonstration focused on a single Windows event log, but the same process can be applied to just about any event that occurs on the system. This could be anything from antivirus, a virus is detected on the system and you might want to isolate it, to anything you can do with Orchestrator. So there's a lot of power here that will allow you to do just about any customization you can think of.